Hello, everyone. This is John from AU Pack Mule, and today we're going to discuss Game of Thrones season 8 with one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, GrayArea. Gray has been on my channel a couple times before, and it has been one of the most epic live streams in my personal history. I've really enjoyed watching her go from just introducing herself to the YouTube world to being a literal YouTube superstar. So Gray, would you like to say hello to all the people that are in the chat? Because there are a ton here.
Yes. Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm just kidding. Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. Ready to talk about Game of Thrones Season 8. Get pumped. And we're going to have the juice that gets us through the long night with AU.
Well, yeah, she's definitely breaking down the juice. So tell me, are you surprised at all with the reception you've received on YouTube?
Yeah, very surprised, because I remember when I was probably under 1,000 subscribers, you were like, hey, do you want to come on my channel, do a live stream? I'm like, a what? Like, I didn't even know really what a live stream was, and came on your channel and you were like, you'll be at 100K in no time. And I was like, yeah, right. Okay. Like, you can go back and watch that video. I was like, no, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I never even thought about it. Never even thought about it. Was basically just an outlet. Like, I got these ideas. I want to talk about Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. It was just like that. Like, I never expected it to grow. So yeah, long story short, I'm very surprised.
I'm not, but I'm glad that I'm glad that you are. I'm glad that everything I said about you is going to be true, and I'm looking forward to seeing more and more and more coming from the channel GrayArea. I know that you've collaborated with a lot of great channels. All of the people that I know have received you really well, because you not only bring a practical sense of the game, the Game of Thrones, but you also have an insight that is not very common, if I could be honest. Not a lot of people take what you see and produce it like you do. So I really appreciate what you're able to do. Thank
you. What do you mean when I see like the little details and stuff?
You see stuff that I don't see. I'll just plain simple. When we were talking about different things, I think I in the year and a half you've been doing this, I think I've caught one time where I said, maybe it's this way, and you were like, I don't think so, but turns out I was right. But other than that, you catch stuff that I just don't catch.
Yeah, I don't know. I just try to look at it in every kind of way that you can look at it, because really it's just about out of desperation of wanting to know how the story is going to end and what this means and what that means. Like, it's actually probably an unhealthy obsession.
That's a perfect way of describing Game of Thrones. I know my wife describes it that way. John, you're a little too crazy there with the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so, I mean, my husband thinks I'm insane, so.
Well, that's besides the point. Yeah, we could live with that, right?
Yeah, like, I've been trying to convince him, like, to watch Game of Thrones. He won't watch it. Does your wife watch it?
Not for a second. She's like super conservative. She calls it porn like every day. She's like, John, you have a problem. Maybe we should go talk to our pastor, So no, she doesn't watch it at all.
Yeah, my husband doesn't watch it either. He tried to watch it. He tried to watch, he got to the part with Jaime, Cersei, and Bran, and he was like, nope, nah, I can't get with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
but
still
he does
trying
help
to
you
force
with
it on
production, right?
Yeah, he helps me with some of the sound stuff and some of the editing. But I would say it's 80% editing is on me.
That's awesome. Yeah, again, very talented. I just love the way that you present it. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're very welcome. In regards to because you've really caught up, I think season 3 is when you really started watching it. Did we lose you, Gray?
I'm here.
Okay.
I said, yeah.
Okay, go.
Yeah, season 3. So I started watching season 3, and then at the end of season 3, I was like, I need to read these books. So the show, like, I didn't read the books prior to Game of Thrones. That's why when everybody kind of shits on Game of Thrones, I don't really like it, because like that's what made me say I'm gonna read these books was the show. It wasn't the other way around. And because the show was the medium that got me to read the books, I love the show. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. But yeah, so after the Red Wedding, I was like, oh, I need to read this.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it. I would say I was finished by the end of summer.
Nice.
And
summer.
That was like what?
Not the direwolf summer, but
yeah, no, not Summer's still alive. Hashtag Summer's still alive.
Exactly. So obviously you had a lot of catching up to do. There's a lot to consume in this story. Was there something that you have? I'm trying to put it this way in a way that you can answer kind of easy, because it's a complicated question. But is there something that you saw in reading so fast that you said, I got to go back to that, or was everything that way?
There wasn't one thing that there wasn't one thing. So what I will say is, when you read the books just once and you're reading them straight through, there's so much hidden and breadcrumbed. I guess that's a new word. Hashtag breadcrumbed. There's so much breadcrumbed in the text that there's no way you're going to catch everything on the first time. And what I like to do, I know a lot of people like to do it this way, is maybe follow one character throughout all of the books. And it's easier to see like foreshadowing and like an arc forming with the character. Like if you just read all of Bran's chapters back to back from Game of Thrones to A Clash of Kings on out. If you just read all of Bran's chapters, like I feel like you get a much better understanding of Bran than if you read a Bran chapter, then a Ned chapter, then a Daenerys chapter, then all these different chapters. If that makes sense.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I did that actually with Feast and Dragons, because or Dance, I should say, because I felt like if I just read 2 or 3 chapters from each book at a time, it makes more sense in a timeline wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done that before. I'm reading it out of order to make more sense.
Yeah, so I feel like you can understand, you can see foreshadowing a little bit better that way. So
How about what you believe and what you don't believe? I mean, obviously with the POVs, it's really tough.
Yeah. The unreliable narrator. What do you mean? What do I believe and what do I don't believe?
Well, it's pretty simple. There are certain parts of the story when I'm reading it that I take and I go, this is definitely not true. This is what this person is trying to tell us.
So
is that a shadow cat, by the way, or is that
that is Aegon, the 5th of his name, Egg Targaryen.
The unlikely.
And he has food and he has water. He's fine. He's trying to trick y'all into thinking that I don't feed him. He wants me to just, I don't know. He wants me to just pay him some attention. So if you have ever noticed, like in some of my videos, you will hear a cat in the background meowing. And I try to cut out when he meows. I try to lock him out because where I record is actually in my basement. And I try to like close the basement door and lock him out. And he just like starts going crazy. He just loses it. So he has to be down here with me, and I usually have to cut out cat meows. And sometimes I miss a few, and then people in my comments will be like, at 129, meow. And I'm like, yes, that's Egg. So
Are you working at a humane society?
if you ever hear cats meowing, it's Egg. He's just speaking to you.
Mm.
That's it.
That's awesome.
But what I was gonna say is, when you ask what do you believe and what do you don't believe, I just saw this on Twitter and I thought it was interesting because I've read these books so many times and I never noticed this. Now I have to find it again. This should be fun finding this, but it's a quote about Tywin having all of these swords made of silver to slay the Stark wargs. Do you remember that quote?
Not even close.
Me either, but it's facts. It's a quote. Let me find the quote.
Yeah,
Let me find the exact quote for you.
Feast, right?
It's in A Clash of Kings.
Oh, okay.
Let me. Does anyone in the chat remember that quote?
Anyone? Bueller.
Anyone in the chat? Do you remember a quote about Tywin making silver swords?
That's crazy.
He bought a bunch of silver to make magic swords to slay the Stark wargs.
That's like bar bet money right there.
Yeah, it says, in A Clash of Kings, Tywin Lannister buys a large amounts of silver, which he then forges into magic swords in the belief they will kill Stark wargs. So the account Game of Thrones Facts posted this, and like everyone in the comments, including myself, is like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. So it's actually from A Clash of Kings, and it's like page 454, and it's an Arya chapter. And it says, Lord Tywin would soon march on River Run, she heard, or he would drive south to help defend King's Landing. Stannis was the greatest threat. He'd sent Gregor Clegane and Vargo Hoat to destroy Roose Bolton and remove the dagger from his back. He'd sent ravens to the Eyrie. He meant to wed the Lady Lysa Arryn and win the Vale. He'd bought a ton of silver to forge magic swords that would slay the Stark wargs. He was riding Lady Stark to make a peace. The Kingslayer would soon be freed. Though ravens came and went every day, Lord Tywin himself spent most of his days behind closed doors with his war council. So, yeah, that quote is a good example of the unreliable narrator. Arya is basically saying what rumors are swirling around Harrenhal. Like, Tywin didn't necessarily buy a whole bunch of silver to forge magic swords, as they would have us believe. It's a rumor. So yeah, I think that's a good example, and
that's a perfect example, actually. Yeah, I think there's so many in these books that, and even in the show, when Cersei says to Joffrey, you know, if you want to make up a story that says this, that's your prerogative. So yeah, I think he kind of tells us right in our face that we've got to really look at who is saying it to believe some of the story.
Yeah.
So is there any particular thing that you're really looking forward to as far as season 8, where it has to happen, otherwise you really won't be satisfied?
I mean, I think everyone knows what it is. Let's ask the chat.
Great Ghost.
Let's ask the chat. What is it that won't, if it doesn't happen in season 8, I won't be satisfied? Let's see how well you know me. Danny McKay has it. Ghost. If I don't see Ghost,
F it.
Tisk. Like, can't do it.
Her last video of all time in YouTube is going to be F-U D&D. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be like, because I'd be in jail. Because I'd be in jail.
That's
Because
even
I'd like
worse.
I'd go to a wolf sanctuary somewhere and like free all the wolves out of the sanctuary for Ghost.
Nice.
So yeah, Ghost is a big thing for me, but also I feel like we need. So I'm working on a video called Unpopular Opinions, and I feel like we need questions answered. We need to know the Night King's motivations. We need to know who he was. Like, these are things that we need to know. And I saw an interview with Dan and with, I think it was Dave. I'm not sure. One of those guys. I saw an interview and they were with James Hibbert that they did for Entertainment Weekly. And they were describing the Night King's motives. And I was just like, for fuck's sakes, like, what is this? What is this? This isn't it. And I if it goes down like how they said, I will not be happy with that. Basically, what they are saying is he just wants to kill everyone.
Mm-hmm. Which you know is not true, right?
I feel it's not. I can't say I know because they're saying that and they're making the series. So I can't say like I know. They're just fucking with us. I'm sorry. Let me stop cussing. I know they're just messing with us. But
if they wanted to kill everybody when they were at the Lake Island, they would have killed the Hound and all of those guys with no problem, right?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense.
No.
And then like they're making the Night King as this absolute death weapon. And I don't feel like that's what he is. I mean, the Children of the Forest no doubt created him as a weapon. But does absolute death weapons negotiate hostage baby sacrifices? Does absolute death let Craster live, let other wildlings live that worship him?
Mm-hmm.
Sam just gets to skate free. Like the White Walker looks at him and just keeps right on going. Like, Sam, we don't really have time for you today. We have other people to kill. Like, I mean,
we have a priority list.
Yeah, and then like they're standing on at the lake, at the frozen lake. The White Walkers already have those ice picks in their hands when Tormund, Jon, Beric, and all of them are standing on that rock. They could have easily hurled those picks at Jon. They could have killed all of them. Just in the same way they killed Viserion, by hurling those ice picks. But they didn't, because it's something else. It's something more complex that they want. It's not just, you made me, I didn't want you to make me, and now I'm going to kill everyone. I don't think it's that.
Well, there's a perfect example to talk about making the Night King of something I really don't believe. And I know Leaf is like the Children of the Forest for everybody, but
yeah,
she's not that old.
She's not.
She's only born like 100 AC.
Yeah,
which happens to be the same time that the Black Dread dies, 92 AC. So it's very weird that they would make a Night King when even if she was 2 years old at that time, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. For the show, what I think they did was they made the Children of the Forest like Leaf is like the representation of all of the Children of the Forest ever. Like with Jaqen, how they did that with Arya. Like Arya never sees Jaqen again after Harrenhal. But they turned the kindly man into Jaqen in Bravos. And it's probably more of a make it simple for people kind of thing.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. And also the cast is already huge to like keep casting different people. And I know like the Children of the Forest, like the SFX makeup that they do, it takes hours and hours and hours.
Sure.
So if they already have one person that has already gotten hours and hours of makeup done, then let's just use this person as an ancient person that made the Night King. Because Leaf says in the show that that they were warring with the first men. They were warring with men. So we know that was thousands of years ago. And yeah, we know she's not that old in the books.
Yeah, it's to me, the whole Children of the Forest story is sketchy from the beginning. And I hate to sound like my friend Tony from Teflon TV, but it's just very sketchy when you have a creature that can bring the hammer of the waters, that can create a Night King, that can do all of these things, and yet, they're not able to defeat anybody now.
Well, they're all gone.
Well, there was 5 or 6 of them at Bloodraven's cave.
So I'm a big fan of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn.
Yes.
And I really
By the way, if you don't know what that is, it's a book.
It's a book series. Yeah, it's a book series. If you're into books, if you love A Song of Ice and Fire, I recommend you read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. But with Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, I really, George says it inspired him, but I think it really inspired him because they have some Children of the Forest type characters, and there are some good ones and some bad ones. So there's this guy, Inaluki. He's the prince. He doesn't have the ability, like this magical ability to just make this awful sword sorrow that he makes. He has to go search and find how to do it. And it's forbidden to do in their culture. And his own father like curses him for making the sword, and he ends up killing his father because of it. So, and he does it out of desperation. Like, he doesn't do it out of ambition. He doesn't do it out of like wanting to be powerful or anything like that. It's more of I have to do this to save my race of people. And he's going to war against First Men. he's going to war against First Men in Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And he loses. Even though he uses this great magic, he still loses. It was still too late. So I don't think that the Children of the Forest are evil. I think there are some that are desperate, that were desperate, and there were others that were more wiser, that knew that this wasn't the way. And I think that's why
separate them into the male, female, and that's why we don't see the males.
I don't know if it's male, female. Okay. Per se, like I'm not 100% sure. I've wondered about where are the male, like why are all the White Walkers male and why are all the Children of the Forest female? Like, I don't understand. Did the Children of the Forest turn? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I don't want to speculate too much on that because I've like wrecked my own brain thinking about that. Mm-hmm. But there's this idea, and Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire, he's talked about it in a lot of detail, that the children, like in other places in Westeros, there's never one group of people that collectively act together. You know what I mean? Like in Bravos, you have people that can only go to the Purple Harbor. You have to be born in Bravos to go to the Purple Harbor. You have people that can only go to the Ragman's Harbor. In Volantis, like there's different factions of people or slaves that get tattoos, or like people that can only be allowed behind the Black Wall. So to think that the Children of the Forest are collectively agree on everything, I think it's kind of
sketch. Yeah, it's too hard to organize that kind of people, that number of people.
Yeah, like because Mance can't even get the wildlings to all agree on anything.
That's true.
So I don't think that I think there were like different factions and tribes, just like the wildlings. The wildlings have the Hornfoots and the Thens and this one and that one, like different types of wildlings. I think there were different types of children of the forest. And then that this one radical like ISIS type of children of the forest created the White Walkers.
Very true.
I think that's what kind of happened.
I wanted to say thanks to Dark Mother with the $5 for the $5 super chat. She says, "I love this fandom, supports smart women," and that's definitely a description of Gray Area. So thank you.
Thank you, Dark Mother.
So we definitely have quite a despairingly situation with the children of the forest. Do you see that do you think that we're going to see any more of them in season 8?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we could, but I don't think we'll see him in like the present story. If we see him, it'll be like a flashback.
Takes too long to put their makeup on, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like
I want to see Ghost. I don't care about the stupid children.
There's some practical stuff like that. Like I do not think in the books Viserion is going to die. I think there will be a 4th dragon, but I don't think like, you know, when Daenerys has that vision in the House of the Undying of a great winged beast breathing shadow fire. I think that's going to be some kind of dragon that Melisandre is going to get.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I think the Night King is going to take that dragon. I don't think it's going to be, or like some kind of ice dragon. I don't think it's going to be Viserion. I just feel like the show had a budget. It was astronomical. CGI is expensive. Sure. They already have 3 dragons. They've done 3 dragons. They can do 3 dragons. They know they can do it. So we're going to have to take one of Daenerys' dragons. Because I actually think that Viserion is going to go with Aegon in the books. I think Aegon is going to take Viserion.
That makes sense. That's actually much more practical, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, the Golden Dragon with the Golden Company and Aegon. Yeah.
So would you do me a favor and say hi to Tony? He's in the chat, and if you don't say hi to him, I don't know what I do.
Hey Tony. Sup Teflon TV. The children of the forest are not evil.
Nasty tree bitches. That's what he would say. Neoplanter has a great question. What do you think which mysteries, this is the question he's given me, so I'm sorry I'm reading it. What do you think which mysteries will not be answered in season 8? So
which mysteries will not be answered in season 8? I feel like we won't know. Like nothing is ever going to be able to confirm whether Tyrion is a Lannister or Targaryen. Let me confirm it for you now. He's a Lannister. No, just joking. So I don't think we'll ever find that out. What other mysteries? I don't think we're gonna know. I don't think we're gonna know who the Night King is. I don't think we're gonna know what his motive is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like if after Game of Thrones you're doing a prequel called The Long Night, you might not want to give away what The Long Night was about. And The Long Night was about the White Walkers. So
and it was also telling us that we don't really know the truth in this story.
Yes. So I feel like we're not.
Which is kind of like what I was saying in the beginning of this. You know?
Yeah, when that first article first came out, I was so mad. I'm like, what do you mean? It's not the story we think we know. What do you mean?
Yeah, that was a great line that they put in that to get us going, because everybody jumped on it, and I just have this really weird feeling that everything about the children we are going to find out is total false.
Yeah,
including Bran's visions. I don't think what they're showing him is what really happened. I think that's what the memories of people are. Like with Hodor converting to his current state, I think that was what the children wanted him to see, so that he would try to warg into Hodor to save him.
Yeah,
And
I'm not sure about that.
And,
That's a little tricky.
well,
but
I just think of George being a sci-fi writer and him knowing about, like the holodeck on Star Trek, or the where you don't actually log into real memory. It's a fake memory.
Well, that would actually be. So what about Tower of Joy?
Again, that's Ned's vision, and that's what that's what was loaded into the memory of the werewood. And so that's why, and we know that vision is wrong, correct? He didn't tear down the tower.
Yeah.
And we really don't know for sure that Arthur Dayne was killed by Howland Reed. That's all speculative, total speculation.
So what about Bran's visions of the future that were right?
We don't know that of Bran's visions of the future are going to be right. Like the dragon flying over King's Landing.
But the wildfire explosion. We saw that.
The wildfire explosion hasn't happened yet in King's Landing. It only happened at the Sept of Baelor, which is, I know it's King's Landing, the city, but
that exact sequence of those barrels exploding we saw in season 6, episode 10. The exact sequence that Bran sees of the barrels in under the Sept of Baelor exploding. We seen that before it happened.
Because they already had the clips.
Right.
So it was just like you said, lazy presentation.
I didn't say it. You said it. You said he's seeing other people's memories.
I'm not going to argue with my mama, so yeah.
No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just like, what do you make of that?
I think it's like you said. It's just they have the clip. Why not use it? It's only a millionth of a second long, so
yeah,
it's almost a still. So,
but doesn't he see?
I honestly think that's what the king was seeing, much more so than what really happened. I don't think he's seeing a vision of what is going to happen in the future. I think it's a vision of what the king was being told would happen, if that makes sense. That's why he made the wildfire, because he thought the White Walkers were going to invade. So he had to have a spot for the wildfire to be, blown up so that it would protect King's Landing from the White Walkers.
I think he made the wildfire because he knows that Targaryens draw their source from fire, their power from fire, and he didn't have a dragon. Wildfire is the next best thing. He was out of his mind.
True. But like I said, if he was getting visions, that would have caused him to lose his mind even more, especially when you're incarcerated for 6 months, in a dungeon.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even think about that, but before Barristan, rescued him, he was, in a dungeon for 6 months. So
at Duskendale?
Yes.
Yeah. He deteriorated over time. And Duskendale was like his final. That's where he lost most of his sanity.
Sure. So Ben from Sly the Tank Benjamin, who's a great YouTuber in his own right, from Drinks and Those Things, says, will the wall be standing by the end of season 8 or in the novels? That's a great question.
Yeah, I think it'll still be standing in season 8. So one major prediction I have is that the Night King per se will not be defeated. The White Walkers won't be eradicated. They'll be dealt with. They'll be sent fleeing up into the north for another 8,000 years. But they won't be finished. The wall will be rebuilt.
That'll probably be the easiest thing that'll ever happen, right? Is rebuilding that part of the wall.
Yeah.
So I agree.
And they have Bran, the builder, there to help them, tell them what they need to do.
That's, to me, that building the wall is like the easiest thing that they could do, because they have mastiff intestines like haggis or whatever, and they can use that as a bellow to pump the water from the ocean right to the wall. It's just the simplest thing in the world.
But it's salt water. Will it like affect?
It won't freeze as fast. That's why it's effective as being pumped through the intestines.
Oh, okay.
It's just really like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't know how they'll do it, but I think they will. I think they will rebuild it. My wish is for Jaime Lannister to be a Night's Watchman, like, or Jorah. But I actually think they're going to be like White Walker food. So, yeah.
Yeah, in the show, Jaime's got to go, right?
Yeah, Jaime's gone.
Is there any particular character that you say 100% will stay?
Daenerys.
Why Daenerys her instead of one of the others?
There's a couple I would say are 100% going to stay. Daenerys, Jon, Bran, Tyrion.
Tyrion, now that's an interesting one, because I think he's going to go too.
If Tyrion goes, I'll be so pissed. I'll be so mad. He's not my favorite character, but I really like him, and I really like his like his Dance of Dragon stuff. I really like it, like the stuff in Essos with him, with young Griff and Griff and Ysilla and Yandri on the Shy Maid. Like, love those chapters, but I don't see. So Tyrion, I think it's like the Moon Crows or something. The mountain clans asked Tyrion, how do you want to die? And he's like, at the ripe age of 90 or something, with my kids around me, with a cock, with a woman, with my mouth.
You got it all wrong, but that's okay. We still
know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that, and then I think there's this whole thing where he like wants to make his own wine. I just can't see him dying. I just can't. But then there is like this whole foreshadowing thing. I did a video on it. But Tywin, the scene with Tywin and Jaime, like, it doesn't happen in the books, but they added it to the show. And I don't know how much they were foreshadowing back in season 1, but Tywin says we could establish a dynasty that will last thousands of years, or we could fall into nothing like the Targaryens did. He said, I'll be dead. Your sister will be dead. Your sister's children will be dead. You'll be dead. Your brother will be dead. Like, he was just listening, and I'm like, wait a minute, rewind. And I watched it a couple of times. I'm like, is this foreshadowing? But when you watch it so much like me, like, everything becomes foreshadowing.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's just him telling Jaime a story so that he'll understand the importance of continuing his legacy.
Yeah.
That's what it says to me, but
Tony said Tyrion is dead. Get the strap.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Tyrion is going to die. If Tyrion dies, that will be so...
That's a great way to put things.
That would be so crazy. I would be mad.
No, I think he's going. Yeah, in a heartbeat.
He's like George's favorite.
Well,
Do you think the show would kill him off even if he doesn't die in the book?
I think they would kill him off because George likes him just for that.
Really?
Honestly. 100%. Yeah. I mean,
they have like a beef or something? Are they
Don't
beefing?
you think so? I mean, after
Get the
George
strap,
left,
as
yeah,
Tony was like, get the strap.
no, no doubt. I just think that they are super petty. I mean, look what they did with the Stannis character. Look what they did with Blackfish. Just killed him off screen. And
Yeah.
even when I was at Emerald City Comic Con, I got to see Gwendolyn Christie interview, and she said the worst thing that could happen is you dying off screen. They know that on the show. And what happened to Stannis? That's just, yeah. And that whole
that
thing
was
with
crazy.
Tormund Giantsbane saying Jon Snow has a little pecker. That's exactly what that was in there for. Is just to give him a little nudge. We can't make Jon Snow any better than he already is. Thanks,
Right.
Kit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that they took Lady Stoneheart. I know George was very vocal about them not doing Lady Stoneheart.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that, but for the most part, I think they do a good job. I know, like, I'm the minority.
No, I'm not saying they don't do a good job. I'm
that.
just saying when it comes to actors and actresses like Roz, for example, I love Esme Bianca being Roz, but I think the reason she was in there is because they liked her. I think the reason why. Sorry,
they openly said that about like Talisa and Robb Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Like they added her because they thought Richard, what's his name? Richard Madden.
Mm-hmm.
He would play a good romance role. And was another one, like the whole Dorne thing. The whole thing with Dorne was they liked Illyria Sand. They liked the actress that played Illyria Sand, and they made more scenes for her.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
they
totally
do that.
makes sense. So I've had on Heidey from Costume Co. Last night I had John Del Vento, who's a music composer. We talked about the music of Game of Thrones. Obviously, there's a lot of great parts of this show. What's your favorite, would you say?
My favorites.
Tough question.
My favorite. I want to say probably CGI. I think it's CGI.
Nice. You really think that's what sets it off?
There's so many things that make it what it is, but if I had to pick one thing that needed to be the same, it would be the CGI. There's no show, there's no movie, there's no movies out that have dragons that look real like that. Like it looks like you can buy one of those dragons.
Like go to the farmer's market.
Yeah, like let me get 2 dragons. Can I have the purple and the red? Thanks.
and
then like bring it home and train it.
You have to potty train in. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I think the CGI. But then there's like, it wouldn't be Game of Thrones without the dialogue between characters.
Mm-hmm. The writing is pretty damn good, isn't it?
Yeah, the writing. The writing is good.
Yeah.
George's writing is good. Dan and Dave's writing is okay. It could be better, but I get it. And I appreciate it for what it is. But like the CGI, I feel like you can't get much better. Yeah, you can't get better. If there's a show on TV that has better CGI than Game of Thrones, let me know.
I just want to say a late happy birthday. I hope you have a great weekend, Carrie McDonald, and she's on her way home. Drive careful.
Happy birthday, Carrie.
You can't get better than that, having mama say happy birthday. That's awesome. So you've done quite a few videos. I really honestly couldn't count them all because there's just so many. What was your favorite one that you've made?
My favorite video.
And the ones with me don't count. I'm not trying to, sorry.
My favorite video ever is the videos that I did about Euron being the Valonqar. It was the very first, it was like the third video that I ever did on my channel. And like a lot of videos, that I do, you find out later, like, this has been talked about before. This has been said before. People have thought this already. But when I first brought out the idea of Euron being the Valonqar, nobody had talked about it. Nobody had thought about it or gave it a thought. So I'm like, yeah, that's my favorite.
But when you read the Valonqar prophecy, it really does play into a lot of different people, but I can see why you went there. I personally don't agree with it, only because
you think it's Jaime.
No, I actually have changed. I think because of the prophecy rules, like don't trust them. It's like a sword without a hilt.
Yeah.
And all of the other ones, like the donkey kicking you in the head and etc.
Yeah.
I think she's actually going to commit suicide with Strangler. That's my new theory. So yeah, for some reason, or I think we've just been concentrating on so many different people, like Arya with Jaime's face, and Jaime himself has been the forefront from the beginning of these books. That I wish it would be Jaime, but
so I've done about 4 videos on Euron possibly being the Valonqar. I did the first one like in 2017, and then the one that I did recently though, there was like more evidence that like other people pointed out to me that I didn't even catch. When Cersei is having this dream, reliving this prophecy, she wants to scream, but she realizes that she doesn't have her tongue. Does that not make you think Euron?
100% with the silence.
And then when she sees the Valonqar in her dream, she sees his mixed matched eyes. Now, Talking Thrones pointed this out to me. She sees his mismatched eyes. And of course, in her mind, that's Tyrion.
Sure.
But
100%.
what other character do we know that has mixed matched eyes? Euron. He has the black eye and the blue eye. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Euron. I'm wondering if they're even gonna do the Valonqar on the show, though.
Right.
That's been bothering me. I mean, of course, they could just go back and do another flashback of her seeing Maggie, but I don't know. I don't know about it. I hope it is.
I don't think they're gonna waste any more time on it. To be honest with you, I think it's we've got so much going on with everything else. It's going to take a long time to develop that. But for your sake, I'm going to hope you're right. Let's put it that way.
I want to be right about something.
Oh, you're right about almost everything you've done. So I don't even know what you're talking about. That's like saying Air Touch. I need to make a good picture. He's like an awesome artist, and thanks for being here, Air Touch.
Urtex said in the books, I'm okay with Euron, but please God, don't make it happen. Kill a terrible person by another terrible person on TV. No joy in it. Don't let it happen, please.
He's only saying that because he's a Cersei lover of epic proportions. So
I like Cersei too, though. Like
not the way he does.
He loves
the same way.
He loves Cersei.
100%. Yep.
So for show Cersei, the actress Cersei is the Lena is the best actress on the series. The best one. Hands down. I feel like there's no other actor that's bringing the heat like Lena. But the reason that I think Euron would be a very good choice, let me just touch on this real quick, is because Cersei always is trying to figure things out. Like her whole arc is basically, I would say it's similar to Rhaegar in a sense. where Rhaegar was so obsessed with this prophecy that he was trying to fulfill it. And Cersei is like the opposite. Like she's doing everything so that it doesn't happen. Like she thinks it's Tyrion. She separates herself from Tyrion. She thinks Marjorie is this new and more beautiful queen. So she has to try to undermine House Tyrell, try to get Marjorie imprisoned, and all of these things, when it would be so ironic if it's not anything that she ever thought it would be. Mm-hmm. Not her brother, not Jaime, not Tyrion. It was never Marjorie. We know it wasn't Marjorie. Marjorie's gone. So, like, even this season 7 Cersei, this pregnant Cersei's so smug right now because she feels like, you know, Maggie the Frog didn't know shit. Piss on your prophecy, old woman, as Cersei would say. Like, that she's pregnant. I'm pregnant with a 4th child. She said I would only have 3. She was wrong. So that's why she probably felt comfortable to sit and talk with Tyrion in her office. I feel like if she loses this baby, I think she will lose the baby. Sure. If she loses baby, she's going to lose her shit. Like, we're going to see Mad Queen Cersei.
One more pulling of the Jenga cubes and she's done, right?
Yeah. I mean, 0 F's given.
Well, when you start Game of Thrones and you're on episode 1, and you see Cersei, she's like the least likely to succeed for me.
Really?
Yeah, I just see her not being in any kind of control, or, I mean, you see this big, powerful Robert Baratheon, the stoic Ned Stark, and she's way out of the place where she's at. And yeah, I just never expected her to live this long.
But she's not. She outlived both of them. So she's not out of place. She's right where she's right where she belongs. I really like her.
I can tell.
I really like her in A Feast for Crows. I've read Cersei's POVs and A Dance with Dragons so many times because I feel like she is clever and she is cunning, and I feel like her father and her brothers don't listen to her because she's a woman. So I get like where she's coming from, minus all of the incest and murdering stuff that she does. I mean, minus that kind of stuff and the treachery. She's actually she's not that bad. She's not that bad. Imagine how old was she when she went to see how old was she when she went to see Maggie the Frog? Like 8?
No, she was 13, wasn't she?
Was she 13?
Yeah, I thought she was 13, 12 or 13.
Okay, so she's a teenager, young teenager, or late preteen.
Mm-hmm.
So this crazy woman tells her that her brother is gonna kill her, and all of her kids are gonna die. She's gonna marry the king. She will never marry Rhaegar. She'll never marry the prince. She's gonna marry the king. She's gonna be queen. Then she won't be queen because some other girl is gonna come and take everything she holds dear. And then she tells her that your friend is gonna die tonight. Like, she's gonna die tonight. And then either Cersei pushed malaria down that well because malaria, like, in her madness, said, will her and Jaime be together? And Cersei lost all her shit and either pushed her down the well or she actually fell. So whatever happened, it showed Cersei that the woman's words had weight. And I don't think she really, like, you see.
Huh? Neo Planter said, incest rich slut.
Cersei.
That's so true.
She is a little thotty. She's a little thotty, but I mean, like, she's doing what she's got to do. She's doing what she's outsmarted so many people, and she's outlived so many people.
I think she's very clever, but to her father's understanding, it's to her detriment. It's not to her advantage.
Yeah. They're talking about her wedding. Yeah, like Cersei's wedding to Robert.
Okay.
Cersei admired him.
Mm-hmm.
She admired Robert. Mm-hmm. So handsome, so black-bearded and fierce and muscled like a maiden's fantasy. And she was never good enough for Robert.
No one was. That's the.
But mentally, that has to do something to you mentally.
She had the guy on the side. She doesn't care about Bobby B.
At first, I'm talking about when they're first married.
I know.
She said she worshipped him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says Liana when on their wedding night. He's lucky. He's story, lucky she didn't like Lorena bob at him. He's lucky.
Where's my Valyrian dagger?
Cersei nowadays would probably like bite his thing off. So
this is an awesome conversation.
Cersei nowadays would have put him in the sept of Baelor and exploded it.
Bye bye, Bobby B.
Yeah, no, but like,
so is she gonna live, or do you think she's gonna die? I mean, because Euron's gonna kill her, but
I think she's gonna die. But I really like the idea of her being like a Night Queen figure.
Ooh.
So in the Forsaken chapter, we have Euron on the Iron Throne with the pale woman beside him with like glowing fingers or something. I like that. But I think she's gonna be like mad. She's gonna be like a mad queen. Like far worse than what we see right now. If she loses this child is her sanity. This child lets her know, Maggie the Frog, I have beat your prophecy. You didn't know what you were talking about. Because like her whole A Feast for Crows, Dance of Dragons, her whole thing is like every chapter, I think that prophecy is mentioned or Maggie is mentioned in every chapter. And it's like she's obsessed with it. And Qyburn is convincing her that she can like stop the prophecy from happening if she kills the younger and more beautiful queen before she becomes the younger and more beautiful queen. But if Maggie's visions are anything like Jojen's green dreams, which I think that they are, because I think she's like Children of the Foresty material. And that would be a whole nother video if I got into all the clues on that. But I did talk about that in the last video I did called The Kraken and the Lion. But if her visions are anything like Jojen's green dreams, then there's nothing that you can do to change them. They're going to happen.
Good stuff. This is interesting. Speaking of black-bearded, will Bronn survive Grey? Oh, no. Will Bronn survive Grey and AU in the chat? Gotcha.
No, he's gone.
Yeah,
he's out of here.
He's got to go, right?
Yeah.
He's like the most ancillary D&D procrastinated death there is.
Daryl Galt said that Cersei is like Mary Queen of Scots. I think Cersei is like Mary Tudor.
Yeah, I would agree with that much more.
Mary Tudor?
Scots. Yeah.
So Mary Tudor actually has like this,
because that's Henry VIII's mother, right?
That is his daughter.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's Henry VIII's daughter.
I thought it was Elizabeth that was his daughter.
Elizabeth is his second daughter.
Okay.
So Mary Tudor is his daughter by Kathleen Aragorn, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Elizabeth is his daughter by Anne Boleyn. But there's a lot of similarities between Mary Tudor and Cersei. And I need to do like a video just dedicated to that, because when I did my War of the Roses videos and like trying to decipher who's who and what's what in those videos, oh my gosh, there were so many similarities between Cersei and Mary Tudor that it blew my mind. Like, Mary Tudor also did some crazy, like armed, like turned like a faith militant. Like she like, because there was this whole thing where like there was Catholics and Protestants, and it was just like this whole, like, I can't even get into it.
Yeah,
I can't even explain it.
It's very complicated politically and personally, right?
Yeah. But if you watch my video on Game of Thrones and the War of the Roses, I got into the very basic Mary Tudor. Yeah, she was a crazy Catholic, and she had a lot of Protestants burned at the stake. But if you watch that video, I talk about how I believe Game of Thrones would end based on the War of the Roses. And I talk about Cersei and Mary Tudor, but not in depth like I really want to.
You recently quoted George talking about the end of Game of Thrones or the Song of Ice and Fire book series. Mm-hmm. And he said he would know who was going to be on the throne.
Yep.
Does that mean to you that there is definitely going to be someone on the throne?
Not necessarily. You know, George is cryptic.
He's a troll master, man.
Yeah, he's a troll. I do believe that there will be a throne, just not sure. If I had to like guess money, right? Like bet money right now, who would be on it? I would say Daenerys.
Yeah. Because she's in place for it.
Yeah. Jon doesn't want, he's not going to want that. The only way Jon...
He wants it, but he just doesn't want the throne.
But that's what I mean. If Jon... The only way Jon would take the throne is if he had to. Like, there was no other thing. Mm-hmm. Like, Daenerys... But like, this is what Daenerys was really born for. I feel like she was born for this. She was born to be queen of Westeros. And even if Jon is king, she'll still be queen. Right. But I don't think Jon's going to want it.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. My
perfect ending would be Tyrion on the throne, Tyrion as king of Westeros, Jon and Daenerys as Night's King and Night's Queen at the Night's Fort. That would be my perfect ending.
Wow. How cool is that? Speaking of ending, we have reached our hour mark, and I told Gray that I would keep it to an hour for today. I don't know how much I can say thank you for coming on. You've really made my Game of Thrones Season 8 30 days live streams an epic situation. So thank you for being here. I'm very, very grateful. You're just really generous with your time. So I know this from talking with so many other YouTubers that you just put in a lot of time. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate coming, and I'm like salty because everybody in the chat is saying Daenerys is gonna die.
Dany's gonna die. They're all gonna die.
No.
I'm gonna actually, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna let you drop off and then continue on with the stream for a little bit longer, if that's okay with you.
That's fine. That's fine.
I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, guys, for showing up. Thanks for having me, AU. I'm gonna go edit for 5 days of videos next week.
Thanks for the juice.
Yeah. Okay, my sweet summer children. See you later.
Bye-bye. Wasn't that nice? I think that GrayArea is just a great creator, and I love the way that she's come in and worked with so many people like Teflon TV and Dan from Talking Thrones. You just name it. There's not anybody that she hasn't worked with. So, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have never seen her on screen, there's 2 other videos that I've done with Gray, one with Gemma from Secrets of the Citadel and GrayArea, and then one with just me and her by ourselves. So yeah, thanks for staying on. I don't know if you guys have any questions for me, but if you do, just put it in the @ at AUPacMeal, and I'll make sure I catch that. Yeah, I think Danny is definitely going to die. I don't know about you, but 09, that is a for sure one for me. I don't think that the dragons are going to live. I don't think that there's going to be any Targaryens left. I think that's one of the reasons why George created the Fire and Blood series, that it's going to be something that's going to end in the show. So Danny McKay, thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, I try to bring creators that I really enjoy working with. There's very few disappointments that I've had in this series, and I hope you've enjoyed them. And obviously you have, so thank you. Yeah, Mary Jade, I definitely enjoyed it. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Sam and do you think Bronn will live? Linda, I see you have Sam will be the only one left. You don't think Bronn or Tyrion will be writing the book with Sam? Not Bronn, Bran. I'm so sorry. Cameo has a great question. Will there be a blood betrayal? If so, maybe Tyrion. That's a interesting question, because I think Tyrion, we've always been told that he is loyal to his family, and the only family he has really is Jaime, who's actually coming to see him, coming to fight with him, and then his crazy sister, who has always had an issue with him, and he's had an issue with her too. So it's more likely that he will betray Danny, because he has no sincere loyalty. So, yeah. Who do I think would sit on the throne at the end? Well, Vanessa, I don't think that there's going to be a throne at the end. I think they're going to use the throne actually as a Valyrian steel weapon, and that's what's going to actually kill the Night King. One of the things that the Targaryens believe is in fire and blood, and the swords of the throne were made that way, I think, because of a vision that the Conqueror had, Aegon the Conqueror, and that's why it's so large and so high, that it was in his vision to protect himself from the White Walkers from the very beginning, and that's why everybody cuts themselves or scabs themselves or does all of the wounds that happen on the throne. I mean, there have been literally people that have died just walking up and down the throne. So, yeah, this was an awesome interview. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, Storm Steel, that juice is awesome. So I'm glad that it happened. But I think every creator that I've interviewed has their own unique perspective, and I call them the Game of Thrones goggles. And GrayArea just brings out such a unique perspective, and that's why I did like, and I wanted her to be on really badly, just like Tony. I wanted him to be the very first one because he sets the standard. So yeah, absolutely. Hedchun says, this was so nice, great stream today. I think Dany will die. I hope Arya will live. I hope Arya will live too. That would be awesome. Linda R says, I had to get my taxes done so it didn't interfere with my Game of Thrones time. That's a great reason to get your taxes done. Oh, yeah. If Tony wouldn't be here, I would riot. Yeah, I love that Tony listens to so many live streams and YouTube creators that do Game of Thrones. Very generous man for sure. And I love his new "Get the Strap" comment. That's awesome. That's going to be on a rap battle for sure. Khaleesi Clues ask AU, and I hope you're feeling better, by the way, Raylene. Who or what do you think is the Night King's target? Um, I honestly have no idea, other than the fact that it is somebody in Winterfell. My personal belief is that the Night's Queen is in the crypts of Winterfell, and I think that that's his not target as in to kill, but target as in to get out. And the reason I believe that is the Night Queen is the only person that we've talked about being the first walker or other or white, if you will. She's the one that turned the 13th Lord Commander. We don't hear about her death. And as much as George likes to copy or mimic, whatever word you want to use, mirror, J.R.R. Tolkien, the people in the Tolkien world can't be killed. So the only way that you can restrain them is with certain restrictions. And I think that's the whole purpose of the swords going across the knee, showing you're not welcome. And that's the way I think it's going to, that's what I think he's after. Crazy theory from AU. Well, Vanessa says the thing is, I don't, with Arya, is that I don't know how she will find happiness. I think she will be very happy with someone at Winterfell, just like she was when she was a young girl. The only thing she didn't like is the restriction of being brought up as a girl. So I think once she is over this situation and she's able to either be courted by or be the wife of, and obviously because we're dealing with Maisie Williams, it's a lot harder for us to think of her as a wife per se. But I think that she would be very happy. She was a very happy young girl, so I don't see any reason why that wouldn't continue after the stress of everybody killing her family. Once that's resolved, I think it'll be over. Who would be the final ruler? Well, to be honest with you, if it is Cersei, we see Dany's vision with the Red Keep being burnt. So if that's the case, then I think that will be the end. And so, technically speaking, Cersei will be the last ruler. I don't think that we'll have another king of Westeros. I think we'll have uh, the kings of whatever lands there has been, whether it's the Greyjoys or the Starks in the north, the Westerlands, the Crown Lands, the Stormlands, Dorne, etc. Obviously, with the show, they've wiped out all of the houses that we know of in the show, except for the Starks, the Lannisters, and the Greyjoys. Really, that's just about it. except for maybe Rob and Aaron, I think would be the only exception to that. Linda R asked, which of our favorite characters will be seen as a white on the show? Well, I definitely say Hodor. 100% will see him on the show as a white. That's too good of an opportunity, and yeah, I think Kristen Hine would be very excited to be on the show again. He's actually going to be doing a rave in Chicago. If any of you are in Chicago, um, definitely check that out. I'm not sure exactly what venue it is, but I just saw that this morning. I said Hine. I meant Nairn, obviously. Varys is an interesting character because in the books we definitely have him protecting Fagon, and I think Fagon is Illyrio's son with the whore from Volantis, and I think she is a Targaryen, relative, so that it's not unlikely that that's the case. But I definitely think that he is interested in getting Fagon on the throne in the show. Obviously, Danny is going to be the Fagon character, absorbed. So that's the way I think that they're going to, write Varys off. In the books, obviously, he actually kills Kevin Lannister or Kevan Lannister and Grand Maester Pycelle. So we know that he has the ability to act when he needs to, and that's one of the things they really haven't shown in the show, because they've had other characters like Tyrion's friend Bronn do all the dirty work for him, or some of his whispers, his little birds. So yeah, it's definitely going to be he's going to be or continue to be an advocate for Danny. Santa Via Major, which woman are you talking about that you hate? I'm sorry. And I agree, Hedgehund, 100%. I definitely think that that Arya will find some happiness. Airtouch Altino says, "Can you imagine a character surviving the series with a veteran title, like they lost a body part like Jaime and Theon, and still survives? Any candidates?" Um, I think Theon will actually survive because he's gone through the um, the tragedy that will allow him to have the internal fortitude, if you will. But as far as Jaime, I have so much hate for him. I don't really care, to be honest with you. Um, I'm not a Jaime fan at all. So I think him and Stannis are about the same for me. And it's because that, if for example, something you're doing is totally wrong, 100%, even if it's for love, you really do have to check yourself, because a lot of people love things and they give it up because they know it's not the right thing to do. So yeah. Mandolin 523 says, I do think that the Night King magic will work on my okay. I'll go to the next question. Yeah. But if it's for the realm, is it still wrong? Hell yeah, it is. I think that a lot of people do wrong things for the right reason, and that's what gets people in trouble. And um, if you think about it, I think people can find an opportunity to do the right thing for the right reason, if you know what I mean. And it's just um, conscientious reasoning, I think, is the only reason people do the wrong thing for the right reason. Yeah, Santa Via Major, I agree. Jaime is still wrong regardless. I get a star from Teflon TV. I didn't get the strap. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sansa marrying Theon. Boy, Sansa gets a lot of candidates for marrying her. But Theon, I'm curious. I really didn't get that combination ever. Theon, I think if there was any interest between Theon and Sansa, it would have happened already. I was not comparing Stannis to Jaime. I'm just saying I don't like them both. So that's the reason why I said what I said. It wasn't no. Jaime is not Stannis and Stannis is not Jaime. Totally different. Stannis he yeah, there's no comparison between those two. Um As a matter of fact, I can't even think of a time when Stannis did something where he knew it was wrong, but he did it anyways, for the right reason. Yeah, Real Talk Review says, love your videos at Teflon TV. I couldn't agree with you more there. Tony knows how to put it down. Varys is a Blackfire. Well, I think Varys is a Targaryen. To be honest with you, I don't think Blackfire is the right word because those were used for Targaryen bastards, which I think are different. Um, and I think the reason why I keep saying that, obviously, the Blue Flames, talked to him, and after sacrificing his junk, and then also, um, we get the example of Egg from the Duncan Egg series, why he shaves his head. He definitely has that there. Hello, Angelina. Hi, welcome. Thanks for being here. I want to say my deepest apologies to Angelina. I was supposed to have her on last night. We did not expect to go as far as we did on my new work schedule. So our timing, because she's in England, it just did not work. So Angelina High will be on the 7th of April. Make sure, which is next Sunday. So check that out. And we look forward to that very much. Get to talk about Tolkien and Martin and their similar writing styles and what they have in common. That's going to be a lot of fun for me. And I hope you're as well too, Angelina. Could Varys be Sarah's son? The age difference to me seems a little bit off, Daryl. Um, but it's very possible, but unlikely. Um, and the reason why I say that is because I think Illyrio wasn't that old. He was, oh gosh, maybe 18 when he met Varys. So it's very possible, but I don't think so. Daryl Galt says yes, Tolkien, of course. J.R.R. Tolkien is definitely the man. I think Gendry. Linda says I think Gendry will marry Arya, and that's been my hope. Just because I think it's a great story, and I think D&D will be compelled to write it that way. Obviously, in the books, it's a little bit different because Gendry is a combination of Edric Storm and not just one character. So it should be a little bit interesting how that works. Santavia Major says Ned had more than one daughter and Robert had way more than one son. Yeah, he definitely had quite a few. Speaking of Edric Storm. Dark Mother says Tolkien and Martin writing analysis compared. I definitely am in the right place. Yes, you are, because I think when I read them, I just feel like George has gone to Middle Earth and grabbed some grass and a few ants and made his own character versions of the people from Rohan being the Dothraki and the Unsullied being you know all the creatures of Middle Earth are represented, just in a little bit different way. Of course, he has to have his own style, and I definitely love the way he is telling it in an adult way. Connie Super, thanks for being here. I do want to offer my condolences to you. I'm so sorry about your dog. That's we've all been there, and I definitely want to offer that to you. Fire and Blood has a Tolkien bite. That is an interesting statement. I've not really put that together with the "You shall not pass" part of Gandalf to the Balrog. So I'll have to go back and read that. I didn't get that vibe from that, but interesting. Yeah, Peter Griffin. What's Bran' big chess move? Will he raise the Warga Craster White Walker, or attempt to leap into the Night King? Um, well, personally, I think he's going to warg into the dragon, which will, be his weapon or one of his weapons. I don't think he'll try to warg into the Night King. I don't think the Night King is a weak enough opponent to be warged into. So that's why I think that. Um, that's a great question, because Bran has so many options. We really haven't seen how they're going to power him up, get him ready to go. Andy Burnett says, "Will Qyburn rebuild the Citadel after Euron destroys it and become the Archmaester?" I don't think the book Qyburn will live, and I think Qyburn in the show will be burnt with the mountain during the dragon fight, because he will think that the horn attracted the dragon, and both of those will burn together. That's just my opinion. I think that's just the way the show's going to close that out. Yeah, I hope Arya doesn't go back to Bravos, because she's much more important in Westeros, and especially in the north. If anything, I hope she goes west of Westeros and off onto the ship. But I think honestly she'll stay at Winterfell with Gendry. And I know Teflon, you want Sansa and Gendry to marry. And being that we don't know how the showrunners want them to work together, I really don't know how that's going to go. I missed something here. Sorry. Vanessa says, random question. Do you think the Iron Bank will play a part in the end game? I said so because of the rising debt in the books. It doesn't seem like it would be easy to handle. And that's something that the Golden Company will probably resolve for us in that way. They'll be paid for by the Iron Bank um, higher than Cersei will, and that will be the betrayal that we're looking for. I definitely think the Iron Bank has more to play in the story. Yeah, it's so great to see you guys in the chat and staying. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a great Sunday. It's been an awful lot of fun. Um, oh, Daisy, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I do hope we get to see you tomorrow. I'll be on with Claire Gray and Mrs. Cronall from Switzerland. Claire's obviously from the UK. So we're going to schedule it for early afternoon their time. So it'll probably be like 10 o'clock Eastern, I think is what we scheduled. I just saw that Mrs. Cronall posted that the time change happens tonight. So Angelina, you said it's Saturday, isn't it? Tell me what you mean by that. Is that our live stream? Yeah, it is wonderful that we're having Claire on and Mrs. Cronall. Hey, Jeff, I am so excited that you're here. For you guys that don't know Idiot of the Day, he's probably new to you. That's Jeff from Canada, and he does a live stream almost every day. Sundays, it's with him and his wife, JoJo. And I love those two. They are awesome. And they are big Game of Thrones fans. They just finished watching or rewatching, I should say, all of the seasons. So they're as excited about Game of Thrones season 8 as I am. Well, maybe not as much as I am, but close. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it, Jeff. Sunday. Let's see. I thought we scheduled it. Excuse me. Angelina, is it the 7th or the 6th that we scheduled it for? We should probably do this when I'm off air, but I have the pleasure of having you right in front of me, so I definitely want to verify that. I probably could switch Zach. I have Zach King from Warrior King Productions. He's a movie producer on the 6th, and he's also a big Game of Thrones fan. So I'm taking what you said that it's definitely Saturday. So I hope everyone is having a good. Oh, you scared me. All right, Angelina. Yeah, I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. Because in some places, like I mean, I think in Australia it's Sunday, but that's about it. That's awesome. Yeah, I did say that about today. So no, Sunday tomorrow we're having Claire Gray and Catherine Cronall, and so thank God it's not Sunday because that would be awkward. I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever tried to schedule people from all over the world with different time frames, especially when it's changing, and you don't even know what day it is. So thank you so much. Angelina's like, oh no, I thought I was having to be at work tomorrow. Well, I'm glad that you're here. That's awesome. And also, Idiot of the Day has the Jeff and JoJo show on Sunday. So that probably is what threw me off. But I'll just blame it on Jeff since that's what JoJo does. Those two are a riot. I love listening to them. Thank you, Mara Jade. I appreciate that you're letting me slide on that one. Wouldn't that be awesome? A double feature. I think I've done that one time before, and it was, yeah, I was exhausted. That was a lot of fun, though. I hope you enjoyed GrayArea today. She's very generous with her time to be here, and I'm glad that it worked out where we got to have her on during this 30-day period. Are anybody in the chat? Is there anyone that you definitely have a wish that lives, a specific character that you can't live without, besides Air Touch, obviously? I know he wants Cersei to live. Arya must live. Yeah, I hope you're right. Khaleesi Clue says Jon. She wants Jon to live. Yeah, I agree. Santa Via Major says Davos. Davos, we haven't really talked about a whole lot. Danny McKay also says Davos. Um, he's been one of those guys that is like super uncle, grandpa, all wrapped into one that hasn't really had to fight. He's told everybody, I'm not a fighter. So I think that would be awesome. Mandy says Cersei, Varys, and Tyrion all have to live. Oh, um, is it because they're Targaryens? Is that why? Yeah, that's a compliment in the millionth degree. Linda R says Davos equals AU. I think actually GrayArea said that in Twitter um, in regards to what YouTube creators would equal the characters on Game of Thrones. So that's a huge compliment. Tubb says Varys will die. Do you think he'll be sacrificed because of the way that we need to have a sacrifice? Angelina High says Little Bear has to live, and agreeing with Daryl. Um, if Felicia is around from Citadel of Trivia, she would say she hates Lyanna Mormont, which is a very strange thing for her because she's usually not a hateful person. But that is that's an interesting character. I think the actress that plays her has done just such a great job that we've fallen in love with her. And I think House Mormont, the words are "we here we stand." So having her live those words to the point of self-sacrifice is really cool too. Catherine Bissett asks Khaleesi Clues, when are you on here? And as soon as Khaleesi Clues is better, she'll come on and we'll have a Game of Thrones season 8 discussion. As you could probably imagine, everybody's been sick, so um, definitely we'll have her on as soon as she can. And I don't know why Connie has to be told to wait. So hold on just a second. I'm going to make you moderator. All right, now Connie can say anything. Arya will sacrifice Varys like she slit Peter's throat. He was also in the throne room when Peter was betraying Ned. Yeah, I don't see Varys being in the throne room when that happened to blame him. There was the entire King's Guard there. There was tons of gold cloaks that were paid to kill anybody that came up against Peter. So I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, Teflon TV, you were definitely sick, and that's hospital sick. So we don't want that. I hope you're all better, my man. Well, Teflon TV says Khaleesi Clues is good to look at. Well, that among other things, she's very smart too, and she's a great creator. So I'd love to have her on anytime. Yeah, it's been amazing. I really appreciate all of you here for the gray area conversation and staying to listen to me babble. So that's awesome. I haven't done a live stream where it's just me in so long. I can hardly even remember ever doing one. So, yeah. uh, Tony does know sexy, that's for sure. Yeah, that's how John Del Vento came on. He just emailed me and we talked or contacted me through Twitter. So if any of you want to be on, don't ever hesitate. Just give me a holler and we'll do either a practice one if you've never done it. So you're not nervous or you don't have any reason not to come on. So glad to work with you. Linda R., you want Dead Kings of Winter on the Night King's side. That's an interesting perspective because we've always thought that the Kings of Winter would fight for the Starks, right? They'd fight for the living, not the dead. But because they are dead, you think that they would be brought back to life to come on and fight for them. That's an interesting thought. I never even really considered that. So here's a question to everyone from Angelina High. What would be the most anticlimactic thing to happen in season 8 for you? Um, yeah, finding out that it ends just like the Return of the King from the Lord of the Rings series would be the worst. I would be sleeping halfway through. It's bad enough, I think, that we're going to get the Battle of Winterfell similar to Helm's Deep, and that would be the most anticlimactic thing for me. Yeah, the crypts opening up and seeing the Night Queen, I think, would be the most epic thing. That would be so different than what we've seen before. That would be what I would like. Yeah, actually, Danny McKay asked if I could talk a little bit about the Tolkien estate not getting paid for Lord of the Rings movies or The Hobbit. They did get paid, and they were paid handsomely. But when you compare it to the Prime Amazon Prime series, where they got $250 million just for the rights, and that payment includes a commitment of 5 seasons. So there are a lot of good things about that. One is they're not having to give up any of the story from the Silmarillion. They're not having to, redo the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit, um, which means that we'll get those later. Obviously, the Silmarillion is a different story. So these are going to be more of the lost tales from the Second Age. It looks like the Second Age is almost confirmed with the map that they have put on um, because of the names of the regions. But in regards to the payment, though, the Tolkien estate was paid for The Hobbit and for the Lord of the Rings series, but because nobody really were asking the Tolkien estate at the time, Peter Jackson got that for a steal. Um, I mean, that was back in the '80s when he bought that. So, really, really excited about the Tolkien estate doing not only that, but the movie from Fox that's coming out May 10th. That'll be literally about him and his wife. And him and Edith always used to call each other Baron and Luthien, which are obviously a man and a elf woman who was fell in love, similar to what Aragorn and gosh, I'm so sorry, not Eowyn. It's not Eowyn. It's anyways, I'm totally blanking on her name. Liv Tyler played her, in the movie. But yeah, it's basically about that those two characters and him falling in love with Edith when he wasn't supposed to, and what he did to go through the war and how he wrote the story and that sort of thing. So it's going to be a love story. So Not Your Average Jojo is here. Also, good to see you. Thank you for being here. By the way, Not Your Average Jojo is Jeff's wife from Idiot of the Day. And by the way, Jeff is not the Idiot of the Day. He is awesome. So thanks for being here. Airtouch says, I want to see Ramsay move from Night's King at the start of the battle. Maybe using Viserion, he creates a distraction for our dragons. Ramsay, huh? That would be interesting. Nice. Tony's got a new video coming out Monday. That'll be awesome. Yeah, I think Jon burnt everybody from the Battle of the Bastards. I don't think anyone is going to survive that. I mean, if you had to get rid of one, you got to get rid of them all, right? A lot of great questions. Thanks for hanging around. Eowyn and Faramir better. I love that combination. That is one of the surprises from the end of Return of the King in the books that we really don't get to see played out in the TVs or in the movies from Return of the King. But yes, Faramir was a much better man than was played by that actor. Obviously he was Ned Stark's brother, so he was pretty cool. Yes, Arwen. I'm so sorry, guys. How could I forget Arwen? But it sounds so much like Eowyn. I got Eowyn stuck in my brain. That's one of the problems with having so many great characters in that story. And it's funny because just like with the Targaryen AE, when you see the EO in a name like Eowyn or Boromir, Theodred or Theoden, all of those EOs mean that they're horse lords or of the horse family. So it's really cool how George took that. That's a little nugget for next Saturday or next Sunday, rather. Mandy's leaving. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Mom duty. Mandy said duty. Do you think Tyrion will ride a dragon? I'm assuming is what you mean. Yeah. Riding a dragon, I think, was set from the very beginning when he created the saddle for Bran. That is all but guaranteed in the books. Tyrion will ride a dragon. The weird thing about the show is that, excuse me, the needing of a saddle is not really required in the show, and that's obviously got to be the most painful thing anyone's ever done. Riding a horse without a saddle is one of the most painful things that you could do. So riding a dragon, that's got to be off the charts. Well, that's an interesting question. As Santavita Major says, I keep thinking that if there's a Stark in Winterfell, there's magic preventing the Night King from raising the dead Starks and using them on his side. That is a possibility. I'm actually I'll have that an answer to that in my Origins of Winterfell video. Um, hey, John Del Vento is here. Thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it. Awesome stream. I've gotten so many great comments about our stream last night. Can't wait to have you on again. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really, one of my true surprises for this 30 days of live streaming. Chris Ord is here. Wow. Do you think the rumor that Tyrion will betray Dany and subsequently be executed for it? I think it's something like that. And Chris, that's a great question. Thank you for being here. By the way, I've not seen you in the chat before, so if you have been, I apologize for missing you. But thanks for coming. In regards to the Tyrion, I think he has that tendency to always be on the side of his family, and I think um, Jaime will be the one that will decide that for him, because if he is going to continue being with Cersei, then I think Tyrion will betray Dany. But if Jaime decides to stay with um, the Starks and continue fighting at Winterfell, then Tyrion will stay with Jaime and be loyal to Dany. Yeah, John deserves a much better, uh, much bigger praise, I guess is the best way to put it. I hope you start doing your own videos and presenting that. I've seen a lot of great creators, but you're very talented, John. Costume Co is here. Heidi, we were just talking about you, so thanks for being here. Definitely appreciate it. We are going to have you on again, I hope, and I'm so glad that I was introduced to you. It's been a pleasure to have you in the chat on the channel, and definitely enjoy your channel as well. Vanessa asked, "Do you think Tyrion will do something so ugly as the Red Wedding and the Castamere Massacre in the books? Because I think he is Tywin's true heir, and he will do something Tywin-esque." Um, well, he hasn't really done anything Tywin-esque up to this point. He's certainly had the opportunity to, and I don't know that he really has any desire to do anything Tywin-esque, unless it has to do with the White Walkers, where he flushes them all out the sewer. That's about the only thing I think we'll get Tywin-esque out of him. That is an interesting question as far as whether he is, and I think that's an answer that George will not reveal. I don't think that it's critical that we know for a fact that Tywin is Tyrion's father, or Jaime's father, or Cersei's father. I think that's all for us to discuss. He wants that open ended for a reason. By the way, if you ever see D Nimmin on YouTube, Costume Co, Heidi is one of the moderators there, and she helped me actually get a review from D. Great um, shout out, and I just am so grateful that you did that. That was super nice of you. Um, D. Nimmin does a lot of helping with creating live streams and doing videos with your phone. So if you have a desire to do the, live streams or do YouTube videos, and you only have a phone, definitely check out D. Nimmin. He's fantastic for that. Khaleesi Clue says, "Hey, Tyrion, that's my next video. I'm recording." So there you go. Check out Khaleesi Clues, and she'll tell you all about Tyrion and his madness. Probably the worst character on Game of Thrones that I can think of. Yeah, exactly. Teflon TV says that way they both killed their father, meaning Jaime killed the Mad King and Tyrion killed Tywin. So yeah, for sure. I think it would be more interesting if it was just the opposite, and Jaime is Tywin's son, and Mad King is Tyrion's father. But yeah, either way, it's still fun to talk about, and I think it will continue to stay open ended. I don't think we'll get the answer. You can see that Cersei definitely has Mad King tendencies, and it's I don't know how that it could be anything more than an obvious way of showing that at least Cersei is the Mad King's father, and there is a possibility that Tywin is Jaime's father and Cersei is the daughter of the Mad King, so that's definitely a possibility. No, I had GrayArea on earlier, and she was only able to stay for an hour, and I let her drop off so she could go on with her day. But I wanted to continue talking Game of Thrones season 8 because, after 30 days and doing about 23 live streams, I'm not done yet. And as a matter of fact, I'll be continuing tomorrow with Claire Gray and Mrs. Cronall, who do epic um, live streams on Sunday morning. Um, and I can't wait to continue the conversation then. But until then, I want to continue talking to you guys. I mean, it's so funny, but you guys don't know how surreal it is to have Teflon TV in the chat on your live stream. Angelina hi on the chat in your live stream. Peter Griffin, you know, in the chat. It's just epic, and I love it. So it's hard for me to even shut off the live stream. Uh, Connie Super, Santa Via Major, all Khaleesi Clues, all you guys being here is so special for me that it's like a birthday party and Christmas all in one. Matthew Banks says, anyone going to Battery Park? What's in Battery Park? By the way, thank you for being here, Matthew. I don't think I've seen you before, so. Thank you, Hedgehun, and thank you, Living on a Prayer, and Linda R. I can't say thank you enough. I appreciate all your help. Well, I definitely will meet you, Teflon TV. I'm going to do everything I can to be at Con of Thrones, and we'll party like rock stars on that day for sure. That'll be awesome, and I love you too, man. Um, yeah, thank you for saying that. That's really nice of you. Yeah, definitely a OG, Angelina, and I appreciate that. Exactly, Tony. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And as you know, I'm very happily married, so no problems there. Yeah, Dark Mother, I couldn't agree with you more. This is definitely a safe place for all of us to talk. And yeah, I enjoy it. That's cool. Quest for the Throne. Matthew Banks says Battery Park, New York. There is a hashtag Quest for the Throne. Apparently, there is a few thrones that are being found worldwide. So that's a fun thing to do, right? Looking for the throne so you can get a crown. I saw that on Twitter, I think it was, or Facebook. So that's is that where the next one is going to be? Oh, it's already. Oh, I got you. It's already been found there. Cool. Tony, thanks for being here, and we'll see you on your live stream. So thanks again. Appreciate you being here. Most grateful, my friend. We got John Delvento's attention. Oh, the Don is streaming tonight. That's going to be epic. Ah, um, STE York. If Sansa dies, how will it happen? Well, I haven't ever seen you that I remember, so thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And Sansa, I don't think she'll die. I think um, one of my early predictions was that we were going to have all women, rulers. That's the way that Dany is going to break the wheel. If you don't mind me putting it the same way that she does, but um, yeah, so I definitely think she will be whatever Master of Winterfell or Queen of Winterfell or any way that you want to word it. She'll be in charge of Winterfell. Oh, 6:30 Central. I was like, it's already 6:30 Eastern. So Peter Griffin says 6:30 Central Time, so 7:30 Eastern. Definitely check out Tony's live stream later on. Yeah, all women rulers, like Brienne of Tarth will be, basically instead of the Stormlands, um, Dany will be, on the Iron Throne or equivalent, uh, that sort of thing. Yara will be in charge of the Iron Islands. You have SD York. I don't remember. So my apologies. Thanks for coming. That's really I really appreciate that. I hope I'm saying that right too. I got Linda R's attention. She likes the Seven Kingdoms, Seven Women Rulers. Yeah, if that's not breaking the wheel, I don't know what is. And obviously, George has shown in his writing that giving women power is not the worst thing that could happen. So, um, with the Night Queen being the first one that we see, um, definitely is not inappropriate. So, Angeline says, I got to go. Got work in the morning. God bless you. So, have a good night. Thanks for being here. Gilly Flower, I'm thinking Dany dies. Well, I hope not. Um, yeah, Costume Co. Heidi from Costume Co. says you think Yara will still have her tongue. Um, in the books, that might be different because I don't know that she'll be captured by Euron. But in regards to um, the show, I definitely think she will be because we haven't talked about the silence at all in the show. It hasn't been a factor as far as um, needing Victorian to confirm that all of the people on the ship are mute. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue. We thought in season 5 that she was had her tongue cut out because of the way that she was captured and the way she was carrying herself. But Gemma Whalen never talked about being having her tongue cut out or any of that. So I don't get the feeling that we're going to see that. Well, you've got to remember, Daryl Galt says, how can so many moving parts be tied up in a bow in 6 episodes? This is not your normal 6 episodes. Obviously, it's an hour and 20 minutes every episode, except for the first 2. And if you remember the episode where Bran and Samwell were talking about Jon's parents, that was summed up and exposed in a matter of minutes. So I think we're going to get a lot of those quick exposures. Yeah. Oh, you're very welcome, Heidi. Always glad to answer questions. That's what I'm here for. So yeah, I love it. Do you think the lands of Always Winter will go back to its previous climate once the Night King is defeated? Yes, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Because we are going, if you remember correctly, the spot where the Blood Raven's cave is the same spot that where they turned the Night King, and that was very spring-like. So I think that's going to happen exactly that way. Oh, Jessica. Here we go. Hey, a random question. Does Article 13 arrived in other countries, or is it just Europe? It's just Europe. And each country in Europe has 2 years to dispute that. By the way, if you want to get a little bit more information about that, I did an interview with Robert from In Deep Geek, and he discussed that with me in a little bit more detail. And it really was surprising to me, his answer, because he's not only a creator of Game of Thrones on YouTube, but he's also been a political ally where he's consulted with people on political issues. So I'm confident that he's informed as much as anybody in regards to this because he's affected by it so much. And um, his answer was that, really it's going to take 2 years for this to be enforced, even though it went into effect. Everybody has 2 years to dispute it, and so that's the time frame. So we're looking at 2021, and then the copyright laws are going to be a little bit more strict as far as who is going to be responsible, and that's why that's really what is affecting YouTube, not the fact that the copyright laws have changed at all. Great question. Yeah, very cool. Linda R is keeping me informed. Thank you so much. No, I'm not watching the OA. I haven't really watched a lot of TV in the last week. Started a new job on Thursday, so finishing up my old job was a lot harder than I expected. And then starting the new job, I have little to no time during working hours because I'm in training. So, Mo Castillo, thanks for being here, man. GrayArea actually dropped off about an hour ago, so I apologize. If you want to go back to the beginning, she dropped some juice on us earlier, so definitely worth checking out. You're so welcome. I appreciate you asking that question, Jessica Alina Nope, I think is the way you say that. And Miss Noak, thank you for being here. I was much appreciated. Will St. York says, will Harry Strickland turn out to be Aegon Blackfire or Azor Ahai? Otherwise, what is the point in him now? Well, if he's the leader of the Golden Company, his position is super important because he's the one that enforces what sellsword companies do when trouble comes, and trouble is definitely coming. So, as you know, their words are, "Under the gold is the bitter steel," and there's never been a contract that they've broken yet. So, P.S. Article 13 blows. it does. It does in a way, but I think if you think about it, how are you going to enforce what people steal? And I use that word intentionally because I think um, if you take someone's creation, whether it be music or a picture, um, or even just an image of something that they've created, that's their creation. So you should honor that in a way that's not just taking the information. People make money taking pictures, and I respect that. So, to answer your question, really about Harry Strickland being um, Aegon, I don't think that he will be Aegon or pretend to be Aegon. The one interesting thing about the trailer video that we got is we have the Harry Strickland character, and then we have Euron in front of Cersei, and then there's another figure to the right that's very interesting. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, thank you, Yasha. I hope that's I hope that I did that one right. But thank you. That's awesome. Airtatch left. Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed that. Yeah, it's really hard to look down at the chat and look into the camera, so I apologize. I missed you, Airtatch. Um, so great to see you. Yeah, Connie, it does look like Sansa for sure. John, I can't wait to hear about this Lord of Light theme that goes through the episode 4 that you were talking about. So hurry up and get that video done. Mo Castillo says, "Will Jon Snow become the Night King, or will the Night King be eliminated completely?" Yeah, I think the completely part, Night King being eliminated completely, is really how we're going because of um, once he gets to the point where he isn't needed. If he didn't have a target and he wasn't able to achieve his target, then I would say yes, he's going to live forever because I think he's so strong. Obviously, uh, with him being a green seer, where he can see the future or see parts of the future, I think that's one of the reasons why um, he is so strong. So I think he has to be eliminated completely, along with the dragons and the direwolves and unfortunately a lot of the other great characters like the children of the forest. John says the night is dark and full of music. Absolutely. Well, we talked about him being eliminated completely, and if he's healed, then obviously um, he wouldn't be the Night King. So I'm not sure whether he'd be healed or not. That's a that's I don't know that that's a physical possibility. Um, Kind of like when Bell says "I love you" to the Beast, and he turns into a human or back into a human, and the curse is broken. This is not a curse like that. It's more of a physical change. So I'm not sure that can happen, but one way or the other, it'll be completely eliminated. Um, ST York says, after 7 seasons of hype, can you really see the Night King going down in the 3rd episode? Either the 3rd or the 4th episode, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's probably the easiest answer I've come up with, because um, just like the you know the Boltons were defeated at the Battle of the Bastards, just like every other battle, there's going to be someone that's going down. So, um, yeah, Jenny of Coldstones puts it exactly right. If he's healed and 300 years old, what happens to him? Does he turn to dust or live for another 100 years? I I say he dies once he's healed of the torment, and I think that's a healing in and of itself. So yeah. Khaleesi Clue says, "Hey, do you think the Night King is the same Night King that was created from the very beginning? I hear some people think it's a different Night King due to the drawing in the cave." It's an obvious answer to me. One, it's a totally different character. Um, and two, I don't think the Night King we see in the show is actually the original Night King, converted by, because I think the original Night King was converted by the Night Queen. Um, just like the current Night King changes Craster's children, that's what happened to the Night King when he had sex with the Night Queen, in my opinion. I actually answered that one, Linda R. I gotcha. So that's cool. Thanks for being on top of it. It is a great question, and I hope I answered that correctly. I hope I answered it to your satisfaction too. Cool. Well, guys, I think I'm going to drop off because I want to go get something to eat before we get to Tony's live stream, and that is an awesome place to be. The Fearless Mermaid is here. Thanks for being here, but I'm going to jump off, and we'll see you on Teflon TV, which is Tony's channel, and we'll be able to chat some more. And it's just an absolutely great time together. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm really excited about season 8, the final season of Game of Thrones. Thanks again to GrayArea and everybody else that's been on the channel. It's been a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Again, it's going to be early. For me, it's going to be around 7 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern, with Claire Gray and Mrs. Cronall, another couple of great content creators. So thanks again for being here. God bless you guys. Have a great night.